Among the most enormous sources of consternation for American students and teachers are the lack of options in and the vague, ambiguous goal of secondary education. Vague high school mission statements across the country share an equivocal message about preparing their students for the needs of the 21st century. This goal is so broad that it essentially just means that we're trying to prepare students, but for nothing in particular. I consider this lack of clarity on the issue to be a major flaw because we can't judge the quality of a school or school system if we don't understand its objective. This is a fundamental necessity for any business, collaborative project, or lesson plan. The lack of a clear, tangible goal has strangled school quality with the miasmatic result of measurements by unfair, ineffective, standardized tests. So what is the real goal for high schools? Is it to prepare teenage students for college? Should we be focusing on providing them with foundational texts for their academic field of choice and holding them all to high scholastic standards with rigorous study? Should we ensure that those who wish to become engineers have a solid foundation in mathematics and physical science, while those who wish to become doctors pass a battery of courses in biology and human anatomy, teaching them vocabulary that's relevant in their field? If our goal is to prepare students for college, that's not what we're doing, because much of secondary education is too narrow and deep in terms of basic subjects covered. By that I mean those students who know they want to be historians or actors still have to take trigonometry and pre-calculus or a foreign language that they'll probably never fully learn, practice beyond the classroom, or remember a year after graduation. There's one more big problem with the goal of preparing all students for college in a public school. Not all kids are college bound, and that's a very good thing in my opinion. Students are not uniform machines that have the same potential in the same areas that just need to be programmed with some universal set of information that will allow them all to set sail into the working world as productive members of society. They have a mosaic of different strengths, weaknesses, likes, dislikes, talents, shortcomings. A big problem for many high school students is the influence their schools impress upon them in making them believe that the only road to success runs through a college degree program. Not only is that untrue, but if all students were college-bound and did get office jobs with their four-year degrees, our society as we know it would be collapsed from the lack of industrial trades, artists, and the general blue-collar populace that we all depend on just as much, if not more, than those who keep the corporate and political wheels turning. The pressure also causes many students to waste thousands of dollars after graduation by entering college programs they just aren't cut out for when they could be flourishing in other trades. It pains me to see a student who may be an excellent plumber or electrician one day being told that to take such a path is to compromise a position of respectable success. Even if that's not what schools directly tell students, that's how they behave by conducting the curriculum as if that was the case, and students get that message. Rather than learning about tools of potential trades and developing experience in the lines of work they'll excel in, we stuff those students into classes about Shakespeare or world history without finding out if those things match their individual interests or will be of any practical use to them after school. If neither of those things fit and students are forced to take those classes, you can expect their desire to learn that subject to be stunted from the start. So, are we preparing teenagers to enter a workforce of jobs that they will be most productive and content in doing? Do we instill the values in them that whatever job they do, they should do with conviction and be the best they can be at that job? We certainly fail at that goal by giving our children an embarrassingly low variety of options in their secondary study, assuming that kids who aren't book smart aren't smart at all. Most schools still focus on the same four core areas that were established as what an educated person needed to be versed in 100 years ago, with a few electives available to pick through. When students are forced to take classes they don't care about or something they never intend to use or at a level that's too high in that particular area for them, then we shouldn't be surprised when they are disruptive or disengaged in the classroom, drop out of school, or lose their passion for learning. The only alternative that makes sense to me is to fund education well enough for every school to offer a variety of fields that stretches from the ivory tower of academia to the grease and dirt of menial and skilled labor training. There can still be a required core of fundamental knowledge for all students to grasp before leaving high school, but for the most part, students and their parents should be able to decide what areas of the post-school life they'd like to explore and gain experience in before entering a higher education or training program that'll be charging them to learn the advanced methods thereof. If given the choice, blue-collar oriented students may pick some classes relevant to their prospective careers and some of a classically academic nature, but they'll enter those classes on their own terms. Common knocks against this concept include the tracking label, that doing such a thing would require students to commit to a single career when they're too young to make up their minds. It doesn't have to be that way if a school supplies its students with enough options, though. They could stick to studies of a specific career path and take higher level courses or gain job experience as they progress along, or they might choose a more experimental litany of courses that give them a sample of multiple choices for their potential futures. In my opinion, that's much better than forcing the majority of students to struggle through classes they don't like or need, becoming a distraction to those who are trying to learn, only to graduate from high school without any real experience in the field of interest or a true understanding for what they want to do in college. Rather than finding out that being a mechanic isn't the right job for you 2 years into trade school programs, or discovering that you're not cut out for a business degree 3 years into college, you could discover those things before you have to pay for it. You should also be taking higher level classes in high school based on your mastery and comprehension of the levels below it, not because you're in 11th grade, so now you should be ready for a level of math, English, history, and science that every other 11th grader in the state is ready to take. Kids learn, think, and mature at different levels, and this current model of education based on financial frugality rather than an investment in what will actually get the job done properly is shameful to me. That's why we need to decide as a country what it is we really want out of our high schools and to fund them accordingly, because we can't even say that secondary education is doing its job well or poorly until we agree upon what that job is.